I had a moment where I got really frustrated with percussion, or frustrated with music, frustrated with something in general. And I was having a talk with my brother. I had just busted into his room to just, complain to him about something. He just goes, "Why don't you just try being a conductor? If that's what you want so bad, why don't you just try doing it? You should organize a performance of Soldier's Tale by Stravinsky." He got all the players because he knew more people at MSM. So he kind of got the players in the room, and that was the first time where I waved my hands in front of some people. I was awful, and I learned a lot from it. So I graduated college in 2011 with my percussion degree from MSM, and with the hopes of taking a year off to study conducting and then reapply to grad school. This was a difficult time because it's your first experience out of school, the first dose of the real world. Reality kicks in, and the safety of school goes away, so you kind of really got to fend for yourself. And I actually that year is where I took a bigger step in the new music community with conducting. I started conducting a lot of MSM composers on the composer concert. This was the first chunk of conducting that I really did consistently. But the fact that the composers got wind that I liked to conduct their music was really caught on, and people heard about it. And then I went from conducting one piece on each one of those concerts to, I think, the most I conducted once was 5. And it was just like, I don't think that had ever happened before, 5 conducted pieces. Because of all this work I was doing with the student composers, the Contemporary Conducting Performance program created a program, and I was the first student and studied with Jeff Malarski, who is a fabulous teacher. To create my own orchestra, it came a lot out of my work with the student composers at MSM, that first year out of school. That really shaped a lot of my professional ambitions. Because I wanted an ensemble or an orchestra that really took care of the composers, that would play their music, perform their music, care about their music. The other reasoning is my first year out of school, I noticed that there was a lot of musicians who didn't have a lot of work. The talent in the New York City community, even the people who are fresh out of school, that potential wasn't being tapped. I just kept thinking to myself, how cool would it be if I could create something that would support this and support the young musicians and support today's music and young composers. So my first goal was to find a team of people who would be equally as interested and be able to really bring this project to, from one person's perspective to a group of people's perspective. Because I alone can't do this. I had an idea to start this group, but it's not going to be shaped by just me. It's not about that. So I asked a few people right off the bat, obviously my brothers Sean and Kevin, and they were, of course, on board. And then I asked my good friend Izzy Gleicher.
My name is Isabel. I play the flute, and I was born and raised in Manhattan, New York.
And then I asked our good friend Eric Umbel, who's a clarinetist in New York City. And then more recently, my good friend Sam Nestor.
My name is Sam, and I'm a trumpet player from Australia. When I sat around with a number of musicians, we were talking about what an orchestra is, and maybe some of the limitations we found. There were frustrations we had with kind of other projects we were doing, and other frustrations with the idea of our experiences in other big, grand orchestral settings. And it was decided that we wanted to think about ways that we could have an impact on the way an orchestra should be in the 21st century.
Like, the template for an orchestra has always been the same. And I'm looking forward to being a part of an ensemble that takes that template and messes with it.
As my friend told me, music comes from the gods, through the composer, and then the conductor is the master of the orchestra, and whatever he says goes. I don't think it's like that anymore.
With this orchestra, what I'm most excited about is the idea that I get more say. And what I mean by that is not only will every member of the ensemble be a performer, but each member will get a say, an artistic say, and that may be in the setup of what we're doing or how we're performing. It's the idea of trying to move closer towards a democratization of an orchestra rather than just a structured down power from like one individual or a few are powerful individuals, but that all members of the orchestra have say.
So in 6 months, I see us with a lot more material to really start our launch in terms of fundraising and things like that. That first step to being a real solidified orchestra is getting to that regional status, you know, the 2 concerts a year or 3 concerts a year. And hopefully our mission will evolve, and our relationship with composers and musicians and the community will evolve, and it'll take on a life of its own, because that's really the only way that an orchestra can exist is if the community supports it. I started as wanting to win an orchestra job, and that turned into this, and I would never been able to predict this.